Hi, Gareth here, and we're going to paint a sky scene, and this is the first one. And I've got my hake here and my water container, big water container. I've got my palette, my rag, and over here I've got some tissue, and here's my paper, and up here some scrap paper, which you always need. So if you've got all those things, let's begin. So this is what I'm going to do first, just a wet brush, and I'm going to go across like this, across the top. Then a watery mix, very light, and then I'm going to blend that in like that. Bit more water there, and then a slightly thicker mix. Here we go. Not yet. Too thick. Whenever you make a mix that is too thick, add water, and then if you have to, move to another mixing area. You can always wipe this up with tissue as well. Okay. There we go. That's what I wanted. Have to move a bit quicker now because I think it's drying out very quickly. And then this bit down here is going to be ground, so we don't have to worry too much about that. So just water like that is fine. Oh, we got some gaps. Sometimes gaps are good. Now we're going to leave this. Now this is one of the hardest things in watercolor painting, timing. We're going to be doing wet into wet, but really it's more like wet or slightly wet into damp. In fact, to be more accurate, it's a slightly thickish mix, not too thick but slightly thick on slightly damp paper. And as you can guess or gather, that's not so easy to do. And the first stroke we make is like a test. Can you see here? It's spreading. And if that spreads super quick, it means you need to wait longer. So you do need to test it first. Now you might have a real tough time doing this today and become really disappointed, but this is perhaps the hardest thing in watercolor painting, which is working out how wet the paper is and being able to work wet into wet without losing total control. We are going to lose some control though. So I'm going to go over that a little bit again. Okay. And then here. So I'll use a bit of this, but mix it with some more pigment, make it thicker, and then go across again. There. And then just do one more. I'm keeping this simple. And to begin with, it's really a good idea to do just simple skies. And that's enough of that second wet into wet. Or this is the first time I've done wet into wet, but now I'm going to do it again, but with even thicker paint and even darker. You can see it's spreading, something I don't like, but you can't control it totally. Now I'm getting a really thick mix, and here we go. Yep. And then I'm going to keep making that thick by adding more pigment, and I'm going to do another stripe across here. And then I'm going to do just one more, I believe, here. Okay, this is blended too much, and this, so although I didn't intend to do this, I'm going to go over it again with my thick mix one more time, because I really want this to stick out. I want that contrast. And add some pigment, keep it nice and thick, and here. So don't worry if you can't do perfectly straight lines. You notice sometimes I'm using the flat and the thin. The thin is a bit more difficult to do, and it just takes practice. And the same with wobbly lines. If you've got wobbling lines, it just takes practice. It will come. Now I might even do another dark one just here. There we go. Now, because that's gone a bit messy, spread out too much, I'm going to wet all of my brush, then dab it on rag and then on tissue, so it's very dry now, and I'm going to go across here. Now I don't recommend this because it's difficult. It's difficult, and it's easy to go wrong. And what I do after each stroke, I wipe the brush on my tissue to get rid of the excess paint, so I'm not sticking it back on the paper. And in a white area, it's going to create smudginess. So we don't really want that, especially with the sky. I'm going to do the same thing down here. I've washed my brush again, and I'm going to go across like that. Now, if I timed it properly, I wouldn't have had to have done this, but I got my timing wrong. I didn't wait long enough, and it might happen to you as well. So now you know. Hopefully my mistake helped you. And look, we can do that. I'm just removing paint there. So now I'm going to leave that to dry. I'll show you another one I did. This is the previous one I did. I didn't have to take out any with this one. It just worked perfectly. So it really helps to do it again and again and practice until, I want to say until you crack it, but sometimes it doesn't work like today, but you can do corrective measures like I did. So there we go. Let's leave it to dry.